It's very easy, though, for this adaptive function of problem solving and turning things over and over to become a habit, or to become repetitive, and to become ruminative, and just kind of become its own thing. And I think there's a couple reasons for that. One is that worry can serve kind of a magical function. There's a magical unconscious function of worry. A couple of them, actually. So one is that most things that you worry about never happen. Most things that you worry about never happen. And if you know, that's an old rubric that we've all heard, and I found myself wondering, well, is that really true? So I've been teaching this as a 6-week class, this Worrying Well class. I've taught it a few times now, and I've asked people at the beginning of the class to list all the things that they find themselves repetitively worrying about. And then sometime later on, we've just checked in with the first class, which was about 9 months ago, to see how many of those things have happened. And not very many of them have happened. So I don't know if anybody's ever studied that really before, but you could do it yourself by writing them down and then check in about 6 months or a year. Now, the interesting thing about that, the way that the brain works is, at some unconscious level of the brain, the brain could conclude that the thing didn't happen because you worried about it, right? That's a function of, and there's an old story about a woman who walks around her house. She's an old woman, she's walking around her house every day, mumbling, walking around her house, walking around her house. She walks around her house all day long until she's carved a rut around her house, and then goes up to about the middle of her thighs. And finally, one of their neighbors can't take it anymore, and he goes over and he says, you know, I hope you don't mind if I ask you why you walk around your house all the day, every day. And she says, well, I'm keeping it safe from tigers. And he says, well, you know, we're in Indiana, there aren't any tigers here. And she says, see? Okay. So it's possible that we get rewarded for worrying because so many of those things don't happen. And at some magical, unconscious, primitive level of thought, those two things could possibly be connected.